So, what if I told you that for most people, their paycheck is kind of like a $20 bill in the hands of a drunk person at 3 in the morning? They get it, they immediately spend it, and then they wake up wondering where in the world it all went. Well, today we are going to dive into the system that stops that cycle for good and finally puts your money to work for you. You know that feeling, right? You work so hard, you're making pretty decent money, but then at the end of the month, you look at your bank account and just think, where did it all go? You didn't buy anything crazy, just life. But you still feel like you're just not getting anywhere. If that sounds familiar, I promise you, you are not alone. And it's not entirely your fault. Okay, just look at this. This slide shows this absolutely staggering disconnect. So the average person, let's say they make about $50,000 a year, they're going to earn over $2 million in their lifetime. $2 million. And yet, as you can see, most of them will retire with less than 90 grand saved up. So where on earth did the other $1.9 million go? That money didn't just, poof, vanish into thin air. Nope. It was systematically destroyed by a paycheck system that most of us are trapped in without even knowing it. The brutal truth is this. Your paycheck is either working for you or it's working against you. There really is no middle ground. So today, we're going to uncover that system and completely flip the script. All right, let's get right into it. The second your paycheck hits your account, every single one of those dollars is immediately drafted into one of two armies. You've got the wealth-building army and the wealth-destroying army. The problem is most people accidentally enlist their entire paycheck into the wrong one. And here are the two sides of that war. The wealth-destroying army, well, it uses your money for consumption, things that are just gone after you use them. But the wealth-building army, it does something totally different. It uses your money to buy assets. And an asset is simply something that puts more money back into your pocket. It grows, it earns, and it makes more money for you 24/7. So where does this wealth-destroying army get most of its funding? Let's take a look. We're going to identify what I call the modern money pits, those financial leaks that seem totally normal, but are systematically draining your ability to ever build real wealth. Just think about it for a second. That new car, it loses about 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot. And those subscriptions you forgot about, they can easily add up to $1,000 a year. Here's a little trick to fight this, the one-in, one-out rule. If you're going to add a new subscription, you have to cancel an old one. It forces you to make a conscious choice. You see, each little leak on this list seems small, but all of them together can absolutely sink your entire financial ship. And this brings us to a crucial point. Every single dollar you spend trying to impress other people is a dollar that's not working for your future. It's a choice, really, the appearance of wealth or the reality of it. So first things first, you have to stop the bleeding. Then, once you've slowed those leaks down, it's time to build the engine. We need to stop trying to solve a system problem with just willpower. It doesn't work. Instead, we're going to build our own system, an automated money machine that puts our wealth building on total autopilot. It makes the right decisions for us before we even have a chance to make the wrong ones. This, right here, this is the secret. Most people get their paycheck and use it to directly fund their lifestyle, just hoping there's something left over to save. The wealthy, they do the exact opposite. They use their paycheck to fund a system of assets, and then that system funds their lifestyle. It's a complete 180 that changes absolutely everything. And here's how ridiculously simple that system is. On payday, before you can even touch a single dime, you have automatic transfers set up to move a set amount of money straight into your investment accounts. You pay yourself first. Then you live off whatever is left. This takes willpower and decision-making completely out of the equation and makes saving your default setting. Now, I gotta be honest, when you first start this journey, it feels slow, like really slow. Getting to that first $100,000 is by far the hardest part of the entire process. This is the grind. This is where you're building the foundation. And frankly, it's the stage where most people get discouraged and quit, right before the real magic starts to happen. But what's so cool about this is how you can see the acceleration. So let's say you invest just $500 a month. That first 25 grand takes over 3 years. But the next 25,000, it takes less than 3 years. And that final jump from 75K to 100K, less than 2 years. The process literally gets faster as you go. And this right here shows you why. By the time you hit that $100,000 milestone, compound interest is starting to take over. You've personally put in about $56,000, but your investment growth has kicked in another $44,000. Almost half of your wealth at this point came from your money making more money, not just from your savings. Okay, so now let's see how this all builds into something truly life-changing. This is the part where that snowball you've been pushing up the hill for so long finally starts rolling down the other side, picking up speed and size until it becomes this massive, unstoppable force. Just look at this acceleration. That first 100,000 might take you around 12 years, but the next 100,000? Only 6 years. See? As your money grows, you hit each new milestone faster and faster and faster. Eventually, the growth of your money starts to completely dwarf your own contributions. And this is the crucial takeaway. By the time you reach $1 million, the whole dynamic has completely flipped on its head. Over decades of just being consistent, you might have personally put in around $210,000. But the other $750,000, that is pure, unadulterated compound growth. That is the money your money made for you. And that really brings us to the final, most important question. Your money never, ever sleeps. It is always working around the clock. So the only question left to ask is, have you built a system to make it work for you, to build your freedom? Or is it just working for someone else, funding their profits and their dreams? The choice really is yours.